Let's jump right in. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're looking at a framework that literally flips how we handle conflict completely on its head. We're diving into the legendary Harvard Negotiation Project's classic, Getting to Yes by William Ury and Roger Fisher. But hey, don't worry, we are absolutely not getting bogged down in dense academic theory today. Instead, we're going to unpack this whole thing through incredibly simple, highly powerful stories and analogies that you can start using literally today. Let's get right into it. So let me ask you this right off the bat. When you picture two sides sitting across from each other at a negotiating table, who usually wins? Think about it for a second. Is it the person with the loudest voice? The one who compromises the most? Or maybe the one who walks away with exactly what they demanded in the first place? Well, it turns out that's actually a trick question. According to the framework, viewing negotiation as a battle with a clear winner, a loser, or even a strict 50-50 split, well, it means you've already lost the plot. Negotiation is definitely not about winning or losing. So if it's not a battle, what exactly is it? Let's look at our first story to find out. All right, step one is all about focusing on interests, and it's perfectly illustrated by the story of the library window. Picture this. Two men are arguing fiercely in a quiet library. One wants a window wide open, the other wants it firmly closed. They're completely stuck on these rigid positions, open versus closed. But then a librarian walks over, and instead of playing referee and picking a side, she uncovers their actual interests just by asking one incredibly simple question. Why? Man A, well, he just needs some fresh air. Man B, he wants to stop the wind from blowing his papers all over the place. Armed with that info, she just walks into the next room and opens a window there. Boom. Fresh air comes in, not a single paper is disturbed. The takeaway here, stop arguing over rigid positions and dig down into those hidden interests just by asking why. Okay, moving right along to step two. We'll call this one the sliced cake, and it's all about relying on fair standards. Imagine two people who want to share a piece of cake, but they absolutely cannot agree on how to divide it without someone feeling, cheated. The ingenious solution here is to use an objective rule. One person cuts the cake, but the other person gets to pick their piece first. Just think about the sheer brilliance of that, because the cutter knows the other person gets first pick. They are highly, highly motivated to split that cake as perfectly even as humanly possible so they don't get stuck with a tiny sliver. So, the crucial point here is that when conflicts pop up, whether you're negotiating rent with a landlord or maybe a contract with a builder, you shouldn't just compromise on personal demands. Instead, rely on fair, objective standards. Instead of making it your opinion versus theirs, point to market prices, legal requirements, or agreed upon rules. Ask things like, well, what does the law actually say? Or what's the standard market rate here? It instantly diffuses the tension. You move away from a personal clash of egos into a shared quest for a fair standard. And that brings us to step three, the siblings orange, and the idea of inventing mutual gains. Imagine two kids fighting over a single orange. A parent walks in, sighs, chops the orange right down the middle, and gives each kid a half. Problem solved, right? Well, actually, no. If that parent had just paused and asked why they wanted it, they'd realize one kid only wanted the peel to bake a cake and the other kid only wanted the inside fruit to eat. By blindly enforcing that fair 50-50 split, both kids basically ended up throwing away half of what they actually wanted. The baker tossed the fruit, the eater tossed the peel. And this brilliantly illustrates our third step. Invent options for mutual gain. Don't assume that differences create problems. In reality, differences are exactly what create creative solutions. By bringing both sides together to brainstorm without judgment, you can often find ways where both sides walk away with 100% of what they need, rather than settling for a super disappointing half. All right, step four is called the line down the middle. This is all about separating people from problems. The source material suggests this really cool visualization exercise for your next negotiation. I want you to picture a vertical line splitting your opponent right down the middle. On one side is the human being, complete with emotions, pride, bad days, you name it. On the other side is the problem you're actually trying to solve. Your goal is to separate the two. We mess this up all the time, right? We act soft on the person and accidentally give up our goals, or we go hard on the problem and end up attacking the person. You have to do both. Compliment and respect the human while staying absolutely rigorous when tackling the actual issue. So, how much does being soft on the person actually matter in the real world? Well, get this. Multiple studies show that simply arriving a bit early to chat, getting to know the other side's likes and dislikes, and just building a basic human relationship before the negotiation even starts, that increases your success rate by 25 to 30%. Seriously, never underestimate the power of treating the negotiator as a person first. Okay, let's look at step 5, dirty tactics. What happens when they just don't play nice? So what if the other side uses dirty tricks? Maybe they pull a good cop, bad cop routine on you, or they intentionally sit you in a chair facing the blinding sun just to make you sweat. The best defense is surprisingly simple. Just politely but directly name the tactic, neutralize it. Instead of aggressively accusing them, you might just say, it seems like you two are playing good cop, bad cop here. Do we need to take a break? Or, wow, the sun is really distracting in this spot. Can we adjust the schedule? By naming it, you focus on the problem without making it a personal attack, and it almost instantly disarms their strategy. Step 6 tackles the power imbalance. What do you do when they literally have bigger guns? What if they just have way more leverage than you? Think about walking into a high-stakes job interview when you have absolutely no other offers on the table. To avoid turning this into a gunfight you can't win, the authors emphasize developing your BATNA before you even sit down. That's your best alternative to a negotiated agreement. Contrast that desperate, sweaty interview with how you'd feel walking in if you already had 2 other fantastic job offers sitting in your pocket. The difference is immense, right? The easier it is for you to walk away, the greater your negotiating power. It's basically a superpower. Finally, we arrive at step 7, negotiation jujitsu and handling personal attacks. What happens when things get really heated? They abandon the problem entirely and just start attacking your ideas directly. When someone points right at you and says, your ideas are terrible and this is never going to work, the natural human instinct is to fiercely push back. But pushing back is exactly what they expect you to do, and it just leaves both of you firmly stuck in your stubborn positions. Instead of pushing back, we can use what the authors call negotiation jujitsu. You basically step aside and use their own momentum to your advantage. First, look behind their attack and ask why they feel that way. Second, invite their criticism. Literally ask them what specifically is wrong with your idea so you can figure out what their hidden interests are. And the ultimate power move? Ask for their advice. Say, okay, if you were me, what would you do? Suddenly, you're encouraging them to step into your shoes and actually solve the problem with you. It works like magic. I want to wrap up this explainer with one last incredible story. We'll call it the Hyde Park Frisbee. So, the year of 1964. An American father and his 12-year-old son are hanging out in Hyde Park, London, tossing around a brand new toy that very few people in England had ever seen at the time, a frisbee. An onlooker watches them throw this weird plastic disc back and forth for like 15 minutes, completely puzzled. Eventually, the man walks right up, apologizes for interrupting, and asks, "Excuse me, but who's winning?" Asking who is winning a game of catch is totally absurd, right? Because the entire goal of the game is to keep the frisbee in the air together. In negotiations, asking who is winning is exactly like asking who is winning in a marriage. Think about it. If your focus is entirely on beating the other person, the whole point of the interaction is completely lost. The real goal of any negotiation isn't victory. It's working together to keep the frisbee in the air. It's finding a wise, practical solution that satisfies both sides' interests without destroying the relationship in the process. So the next time you find yourself sitting at a negotiating table, ask yourself, are you just trying to win a battle and go home with 50%? Or are you ready to uncover hidden interests, invent mutual gains, and actually collaborate so you can both walk away with 100%?